Christmas greetings. My name is David Corbin, and thanks for joining us on Just Between Sundays. It's a weekly commentary on a topic of interest. This week's commentary is entitled The Origins of Christmas. Did you know that Jesus never celebrated Christmas? Neither did any of his disciples. Actually, for more than 300 years after the birth of Jesus, no one celebrated Christmas. Celebrating birthdays was never a Jewish practice. Because Judaism influenced early Christianity, that lack of interest became evident. The church even announced that it was sinful to contemplate observing Christ's birthday as though he was, or as someone put it, as though he were King Pharaoh. The idea of celebrating the birth of Jesus on December 25th was first proposed around the year 300. Other dates like January 6th and March 25th and May 20th were suggested. May 20th had become a favored date because Luke stated in his report that the shepherds who received the announcement of Christ's birth were watching their flock by night. It is believed that shepherds guarded their flocks day and night only in lambing time in the spring. The early church fathers debated their options and chose December 25th because this date may have had a connection with the pagan celebration of Day of the Invincible Sun. Some believed that the choice of December 25th provided Christians with an alternative festival in place of the one held in honor of the sun god, who was often identified as Mithras. So it was not until December 25th, 336, that Christians officially celebrated the first Christmas. In 337, Constantine, or Constantine as some would call him, granted December 25th permission to observe the birth of Jesus. A few years later, Pope Julius I officially dedicated or declared that the birth of Jesus would be celebrated on December 25th. Initially, the celebration of Christ's birth was a sacred event. In Christ's honor, there was Christ's Mass, from which we get the term Christmas. As the centuries unfolded, the tradition grew to include Epiphany, January 6th, when the visit of the wise men is celebrated. On this day, the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates Christmas. Christmas has adopted many traditions, many of which are from the non-Christian sources. One tradition that has captured the season is Santa Claus, the role of Santa Claus. The term is from a Dutch name, the idea of Saint Nicholas in English. Saint Nicholas was born on the Mediterranean coast of Turkey. He was the son of wealthy Christian parents who died when he was young and was raised by an uncle also named Nicholas, who was a Catholic priest. Saint Nicholas eventually became a priest. He was famous for his generous gifts to the poor and was also associated with kindness towards children. Images of St. Nicholas typically depict him as an old man with long grey hair and a beard. In Roman Catholic tradition, the feast day of St. Nicholas is December 6th, the day of his death. In the 16th century Europe, stories and traditions about St. Nicholas had become very unpopular. But someone had to deliver gifts to children at Christmas. So in the United Kingdom, he became Father Christmas, a character from old children's stories. And in France, he was Père Noël, and in Germany, the Christ kind. In the mix of traditions, it is easy to lose sight of the biblical story of the birth of Jesus Christ. In response, some Christians withdraw from the season. Others become so absorbed with the traditional trimmings, they lose sight of the main story. I will read the biblical story or the biblical account of Christ's birth and used the season as an opportunity to recall the uniqueness of his birth, rather than merely the traditions that surround it. Unlike some theories of unusual births, the birth of Jesus was predicted hundreds of years earlier. In addition, his miraculous birth was consistent with his mission. It was no ancient legend. So, like the wise men, my invitation is, come, let us adore him.